Radhe Radhe Suren bhai, Madan bhai, thank you for the wonderful session and welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Pranayam. We will move to Jnanayam now. Okay, so if you have taken control of your breath, it's about time to take control of the mechanics here, where we are going to talk about the concept of the wise and deluded and people who are not wise. What are the instructions Lord Krishna is giving to general populace? And then also today we are going to talk about the different hierarchy of activities, or the way we approach our work. Where do we lie in the spectrum? There are two ends of the spectrum, and we will see where do we lie. And Lord Krishna, he gives us instruction, the idealistic instruction, but at the same time is very practical. He's very realist as well. So he's going to explain, if you do this, and then if you're not this, then do this, then if not this, then this, kind of a flowchart hierarchy he's going to give. And that is where, like we always, a lot of times we do, today we are going to make a quick jump. Okay, although we are doing a recap of chapter 3, we will go to chapter 18. Believe it or not, okay, we'll go to chapter 18 and then again come back. So let's get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru. It's going to be a fascinating topic to get today. Going to share my screen, sound. Hope you're having a great start to your day and had a wonderful day as well. Let's get started. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. All right. So good morning, good evening to all of you. Let's get started. So today we are going to, let me talk about what we are going to talk about today. We are going to discuss about this concept in spirituality. There is an idealism, that is an aspirational state for us, of a lot of us, all of us in fact. And then there is a realism, and we are somewhere in between. Okay, more towards a realism at this point. And that's what we're going to talk about, right? So where do we find ourselves? That is what we're going to talk about. So let's get started with the shloka, and then we will get deeper into the discussion today. Na buddhi bhedam janayed ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani Vidwan Yukta Samacharan. Okay. Who do we have the privilege of calling first today?
Radhe. Meena ji.
Meena ji.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. Trump Sam ji today. Very nice. All right.
Radhe. Please go ahead.
Na buddhi bhedam janayet. Na buddhi bhedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidwan yuktah samacharan.
Very nice, Meena ji. Radhe.
Sam ji, Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe. Na buddhi bhedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yuktah samacharan.
Very nice.
Sandhya ji, please go ahead. Radhe.
Radhe. Na buddhi bhedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yuktah samacharan.
Wonderful. Very nice, Sandhya. Okay.
Sumesh ji, yeah, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead. Sumesh ji, I'm unable to unmute you. I'll move on to Shyam ji. Radhe Radhe, Shyam ji, please go ahead.
राधे राधे न बुद्धिभेदं जनयेद अज्ञानं कर्म संगिनां जोषयेत सर्वकर्माणि विद्वान् युक्तः समाचरन्.
All right, we'll take 5 more hands because a lot of people have raised their hands. So let's give preference to whoever has turned on their videos.
Yes. Surya Prakash ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe SSP.
राधे राधे नितिन जी न बुद्धि भेदम जनयेत् अज्ञानां कर्म संगिनां जोषयेत् सर्व कर्माणि विद्वान् युक्त समाचरन्.
Very nice. Thank you.
Rita ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
राधे राधे न बुद्धि भेदं जनयेत अज्ञानां कर्म संगिनां जोषयेत सर्वकर्माणि विद्वान् युक्तः समाचरन्.
Very nice. Thank you, Rita ji. Thank you for turning on your video as well.
Thank you, Rita ji. Rahul ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
राधे न बुद्धि भेदं जनयेत् अज्ञानां कर्म संगिनां जोषयेत् सर्वकर्माणि विद्वान् युक्तः समाचरन्.
Very nice, Rahul. Okay. Let's pick
Sam
up
ji,
the
yeah.
last 3 hands and then we get started.
Radhe Radhe, Sam ji, please go ahead. Yeah.
न बुद्धिभेदं जनेत् अज्ञानं कर्म संगिनां जोषयेत् सर्वकर्माणि विद्वान् युक्तः समाचरन्. राधे राधे.
Very nice. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Riya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
राधे राधे
Radhe Radhe.
न बुद्धिभेदं जनयेत् अज्ञानां कर्म संगिनां जोषयेत् सर्वकर्माणि विद्वान् युक्तः समाचरन्.
All right. One more maybe.
Ragi ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
राधे राधे थैंक यू न बुद्धि भेदम जनये अज्ञानां कर्म संगिनां जोषयेत सर्वकर्माणि विद्वान् युक्तः समाचरन्.
Wonderful. Okay, we just have 2 more hands, so let's quickly cover them as well.
Surendra ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, ji.
Please go ahead, Surendra ji.
Surendra ji, we can't hear you. Let's quickly take it.
जोषये सर्वकर्माणि विद्वान् युक्तः समाचरन्. राधे राधे.
Thank you, Surendra ji. All right. Last but not the least, Uday ji.
Uday ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
राधे राधे न बुद्धि भेदं जनयेत् अज्ञानं कर्म संगिनां जोषयेत् सर्वकर्माणि विद्वान् युक्त समाचरन्. राधे राधे.
Wonderful. Very nice. So let's get started. In this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying the wise should not create discord in the intellects of ignorant people who are attached to the fruitive actions by inducing them to stop work. Rather, by performing their duties in an enlightened manner, they should inspire the ignorant also to do their prescribed duties. Now, the focus here is to continue doing prescribed duties. And simply because people are attached to the fruitive results, the message should not go out as if, you don't need to do work, right? So that means you need to continue work, but in an enlightened manner. And that is what God is saying, that if wise do basically send out this message, people will follow, and it will cause it will break down the harmony. and of the social structure basically, and it will cause discord. So let's look at this concept and get into it. Now, let's pose a few questions here. God keeps on bringing about the concept of wise and ignorant. Okay. So it's me. You see that? It's me. The spark speck that you see, that's who we are. Believe it or not. Okay. That is who we are truly. Okay. Then we rent a body. God gives us a body. It's a rental we get for a limited period of time. Okay. And then the extensions of this body is something that we acquire during the course of our life. Okay. I always put spouse, doesn't have to be always the case. Kids, family, then parents, then your friends, your relatives, and a lot of other things. Family, relatives, friends, country, politics, sociology, etc. A lot of isms you can add to it. So what does it mean? Basically thinking of ourselves as a body, as self. Now, this category of people, from a scriptural standpoint, who consider themselves as this body-mind complex and consider everything related to body, they are all the extensions of body, by the way. It has nothing to do with the extension of your soul as such, okay? Now, thinking of material body as self, they have been called as ignorant people, conditioned people, okay? Now, if you're thinking ourselves as a material body, that is the consciousness we have until we start progressing spiritually and gradually move towards understanding that our true nature is that of a spirit soul. It is called a state of ignorance. Okay, this is the first thing. Let's move on. So if you think yourself as a body and heavily entrenched in that consciousness, that needs to be broken down gradually. Okay. So that's the first thing. The next is, if you look at it, this senses mind complex that we have attached to worldly pleasures, all the sense objects that we crave for, right, that we go for, right? What we want to see, what we want to touch, feel, experience, all this stuff that we look at. Now, if we are attached to worldly pleasures, that is our secret stash. That is also called ignorant. People who are ignorant. Okay, so first thing, if you consider yourself body, you are called an ignorant. You are not wise, as per the definition of Lord Krishna and our scriptures. If you are attached to sensory pleasures, thinking of yourself as a mind, because mind is the governor of our senses. Mind tells, go for it, you will go for it. And if you continue to crave that and do not substitute it with better pleasures or higher pleasures with proper knowledge, then also you are called an ignorant. Okay, this is an interesting one. Now, this is the one that Lord is going to tackle. Okay. Now, the third category. Okay. These are some of the rituals we perform. Vedic mantras, ritualistic activities, sacrifices, cultivation of knowledge as well, by the way. Okay. When we try to do it on our own, it is called, and we try to just, try to lay hand on any book that we lay our hands on, all that stuff when we try to do without understanding any philosophy and not having an expert guidance of guru, that is also cultivation of knowledge. I mean, in one places it is said that there are three things we need to be content with: swadare, bhojane, and dhane. Swadare means spouse, food, and the wealth that we have. We need to be extremely content with that. And there are three things we should not be content with. What are those? Cultivation of knowledge. Okay, so I'm going to get into this part of it in case it is getting. When it comes to cultivating knowledge, spiritual knowledge or acquiring knowledge, you should not be content that I have acquired enough. Okay, it's never enough. Bhagavad Gita itself, the more you read, the deeper your understanding will go. Okay, it's a sentient knowledge, so there's never enough of it. Even a lifetime of study is not enough. Second is charity. When you do charity, you should not feel satisfied. I've done enough. And third is the spiritual practices. These are the three things we should not be content with. This cultivation of knowledge that is coming here is called Shastra Vasana, where you all the kind of philosophies you'll monger around. Okay, this is said in North India, this is said in South India, this is in East India, this is in West India, this is Dvait, this is Vishishta Dvait, this is Achintya Bheda Bhed Vidyot, all kind of philosophies you start subscribing to and make a khichdi in your head, which is called Shastra Vasana. Okay, and that is also problematic beyond a point, because Ananyatya goes for a toss. And performance of duties. Now, these are all stepping stones. Now, ritualistic activities also encompass all the pujas that we do. Okay, you know, we do the ghanti and all that stuff. Now that is good, but if it is not accompanied with remembrance and love for God, that is also something which is just a stepping stone, not the end, right? It is said that even if we are, let's say, chanting a mantra, whoever your Ishtadev is, you know, whether it is Krishna, whether it's Ram, whether it's Devi Ma, or if you worship Nirankar or Om, whatever it is, if you do that, but it is not followed by developing faith, devotion, and love for God, again, it is an empty thing, right? Like Swamiji was telling, I loved that thing. He said that Krishna, Krishna, kare sab, chor, thakur, sab, no, Krishna, Krishna, kare sab, chor, thakur, pretty much everyone. Thakur and Chor, Prem bina reejhe nahi Krishna Nand Kishore. So unless you have love for God, you will not be able to draw upon the grace of God. Then you are simply worshipping the rituals. However, rituals are still given in our scriptures, right? And it is for a reason. And that is what we are going to talk about. For material allurements. And people go for those rituals, sacrifices, Vedic mantras and everything for material allurements, and in return for some kind of a reward that they are thinking. Okay, now what happens when you don't get the rewards? Then what? That is to be spoke. You know, we need to think about that as well. What if you don't get a reward? So when we do these rituals, sacrifices, with an expectation that I'm going to get a material reward, then you have already created a case in your mind to become an atheist. Okay, because that award is not guaranteed. God does not give us things which are pleasurable to us. God gives us things which are beneficial for us. He's our eternal well-wisher. But if you're approaching God or spirituality with the mindset that if I do it, I'm going to get better world, more of the world, my desires will be fulfilled, I'll have a comfortable life, then you are actually setting up yourself to become an atheist in long run. So got to be very careful. However, having said that, not everybody has a deeper understanding of that these are just a means for a higher purpose. And Lord Krishna is saying the wise should not tell people not to do that. Let them do it. Okay, at least it is something is better than nothing, right? Maybe it's helping them build some discipline. At least they're acknowledging the divinity. And if through their prarabdha or otherwise some material rewards they get fulfilled, maybe it will deepen their faith as well, right? So they are saying that wise should not tell people not to do that. It is okay because there is a reason why these are giving. These are just stepping stone for something higher. But people, when they start progressing in spirituality, they understand these are just a stepping stone and a means, not an end in itself. Okay, and they don't get stuck at that level alone. Okay, so that is the key thing here. Now let's move on, understand it a little deeper. So the highest, if you look at it, the peak, right? There is a zenith or the epitome of this peak. The highest understanding, of course, is the knowledge of God realization. Okay, that is basically means that you have to, end of the day, scriptures is all scripture. The essence of scriptures is to figure out whatever you're doing, if it is helping you develop love for God or not. And it's only through that love and selflessness and the surrender bhav, sharanagati, that we end up achieving God. So that is the gist of our scriptures, right? So all the rituals, everything, if you were to simplify this thing, there are so many vidhis and nisheds. Vidhi means do this, and nished is don't do this. Scriptures, our Karam Kand is 80% of it is talking about do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. If you do this, you get this. If you don't do this, this will happen. But if this entire body of scriptures were to be simplified in two things, right? People who have start developing higher understanding, especially if you come in contact with a God realized saint, they would tell you there are only two rules in our scriptures. Okay, one is do things that take you closer to God or help you develop love for God, and don't do things that take you away from God or take you to world. That's it. It's a simplified version. Okay, but for you to reach that stage, or if you're not at that stage and you are worshipping rituals too hung up on that, good enough. But as we start developing higher knowledge, we start needs to gravitating towards the bigger, higher, deeper goal of spirituality, not limit ourselves to the rituals alone. Okay, so the highest knowledge is that of God realization, and it may be argued that wise feel compassion for ignorant, they should give them the highest knowledge. Now you end up giving the highest knowledge. Somebody is doing their puja two, 3 times, Sandhya Vandan, all that, and you start going, what are you doing? What kind of a thing is it? It's, you should just develop love for God. So that is born out of compassion, but it's usually not a good idea. Okay, Lord Krishna is neutralizing this argument by stating na buddhi bhedam janayet. Okay, it's like ignorant should not be asked to abandon duties by giving superior instructions they are not qualified to understand. And this, if you look at it, the same concept, Swamiji in his commentary has explained in yesterday we spoke that when a guru comes, Guru gives message in accordance to Desh, Kal, Niyam, Patra, place, and the time. And they will not give the message which might be the higher or the absolute truth. Right? For example, when Shankaracharya ji came, his primary purpose was to re-establish Vedas. So he built on the philosophy where Buddha had left. Right? And then when Ramanujacharya came, Madhvacharya came, he built on the philosophy propounded by Shankaracharya. So gradually they built layer by layer. Okay, and if you look at the people whom Jesus used to address, those are people who sold him for a few nickels. Those are the people he has addressed. And when Pegambar, who was a messenger, not messenger basically, not even, he was addressing people who were warring tribes. Right? If he had told them, you know what, you are a soul, and all these concepts, they said, are you kidding me? What kind of things are you? So they were told the message that was needed for them at that moment, your hands will be cut if you steal and all that stuff, fear-based stuff. And so the sages and saints, when they come, they are actually propounding the messages which are appropriate for those times. Okay, not necessarily what they know. If you look at Guru Nanak Dev Ji, right, when he came, he focused on Nishkam Seva. If you look at it, just those two words, if you do that in Alangar, that itself will purify you and take you closer to the Sharanagat Bhav. So it is simplified it for the people whom they were addressing. And that is typically how the message goes. And you don't take the faith of people just because they are not ready for it. Right? So if people are doing ritualistic bhakti, and that gives them faith and helps them progress, that's fine. If they're not ready for it, saints and God and Guru would know that. Just to derive some kind of a, what you call that, intellectual pleasure out of it, we start giving them higher instructions and it destroys their faith. It is not a good thing to do. Yes, Sandhya, you had a question?
Please go ahead,
Yeah.
Sandhya.
You kind of mentioned it just now, but just reconfirming. So we are not in a stage to evaluate who is qualified to receive that highest knowledge, right? But when we interact with people, are we supposed to always restrict and like just leave them on their own? Or there are times when we might get inspired by God and Guru internally to kind of share that?
No, we
Because
share that. It's a judicious call we have to take, use our prudence around it, how much receptive the other person is, right? That doesn't mean we don't talk at all. We engage. You never know. Somebody may have a spark and they may latch on to it, right? But we don't try to argue or talk them into it, kind of a deal. Right? We don't force the issue if they're not ready for it. What typically happens is we start taking an ego ride around our belief system, where we start, okay, it's your word versus mine. That can become a little problematic. So Vitandava, the debating and is anyway not recommended on the path of spirituality, right? Do you remember Ramakrishna Paramhan's example was there, that there used to be a big debater around his time. Now, of course, somebody who's debating is an ignorant person, right? Because otherwise people will not debate who are actually realized. So this guy, he came to challenge Ramakrishna Paramhansa. He said, okay, I want to debate with him. So Ramakrishna Paramhansa said, bring him on. So his disciple said, don't Don't entertain him. He's a notorious guy. Okay, he's known for engaging in debates and defeating big people. He said, no, bring it on, that's fine. So this guy comes to Ramakrishna Paramahansa and first thing he says is, there is no God. I'll prove it, there is no God. So Ramakrishna Paramahansa looks at him and goes and just hugs him. Wow, he said. And then he said, I'm telling you, I can prove that to you. And then again he goes and hugs him. So after a while, this guy said, okay, for debate, you need two people. What's going on here? So Ramakrishna Paramahansa said, you know what? When you are so intelligent, I'm wondering the person who created you, how intelligent that person might be. And so that's why I'm feeling a lot of love for you. So the point is, there's no point in debating. Every statement, every opinion, every view has a counter statement, counter opinion, counter view in this world. Okay. And that can go on forever. It's more of a matter of realization. So yes, we talk to people, especially, our near and dear ones who think we are their well-wishers. But if they have some astha going on and they're not ready for it, it's a judicious call we have to take. When we try to force the issue, it may not work out well. On the contrary, they may end up doing some namaprad, right? Saying, okay, what you do is not right and this and that. And they may start having some negative feelings about saints and stuff like that. So those kind of things can happen as well. So it's more of a judicious call we have to take without forcing the issue with somebody, right? See, we have to deal with duality. On one hand, Krishna is saying, 18.68, the person who gives my message to is very dear to me. On the other hand, he says, don't give it to people who are not ready for it, right? On one hand, he says the white should lead by telling people, how one should work. And on the other hand, he says they should not break their trust. So we have to deal with all these dualities. That is how it's going to be. But as we keep on progressing spiritually, God and Guru, they give us the guidance so that you know where to draw the line. Right. So that is an ongoing journey. But yeah, I see it's very confusing, right? Sometimes, okay, where do we draw the line? How do we do that? So it's all about gray. Okay, so now the option one is work hard for fruitive results. That we all do. Nobody teaches us. We work because we want fruits. We want a certain result. We want a certain outcome, right? And the second one is give up all exertions on the plea. All works are laborious, painful, and wrought with evil, right? So both choices are there. So what basically Lord Krishna is saying, it is better working for results is far superior to the escapist approach. It's okay, continue working, don't stop working. Inaction is strongly condemned by Lord Krishna. Okay, so he said continue to work, even if it is for the fruit, that's fine, but continue to work. Okay, at least you are contributing to the moving sansar jagat or this world and pulling in your weight in whatever way you can. Right? It may not be the perfect way of working, but continue to work. Don't give up work. Don't resort to inaction. Okay, so that is the key message here. Okay, so then if you look at this, the spiritually wise people in Vedic, they should inspire ignorant to perform their duties with attentiveness and care. Right? So first to tell, do it attentively, do it with care. Higher principle is, do it for the pleasure of God, or don't attach yourself to the result. Those are things. But if you simply put an example, do it with attentiveness and care. Okay, wherever your signature goes, it should be like, okay, you've done a fantastic job. Okay, so that is where Lord Krishna is saying, at least give them, something to hang on to, how to work properly, even if they're not yet ready for the higher message. Because if the minds of the ignorant become disturbed and unsettled, then they may lose faith in working altogether. And a lot of people say, I want to relax and retire. They don't want to work because they don't like the work, or lose interest in that at all. So God is saying, continue to work, perform action, otherwise they'll be bereft of not only action but knowledge also. So when we work, when we face challenges, and the challenges will keep coming in our life, in our professional life, in our personal life, that's when we gain knowledge. Right? Failure gives us knowledge. It gives us reflection. If we stop working, we will not learn as well. So not only we are getting bereft of action, but also knowledge is what Lord Krishna is saying. So working or resorting to action is extremely important. Okay, that is the key thing. Now let's talk about it. Now it gets interesting. Like I said, we'll take a quick jump to the further chapter here, because I thought it is very relevant. 12BG 12.8. Now God says that fix your mind on me alone and surrender your intellect to me. This is the instruction in 12th chapter. Okay, in Karam Yoga also, if you think about it, Lord is saying, if you think about when we do some work, and we think we are doing it for our own sense gratification. It is called bhog. But when we do that work with an understanding that God has given me this energy and I have to do it for the pleasure of God, then it is called yoga. And that can happen when we start fixing our mind on God and start increasing that frequency, intensity around it, until we have God firmly entrenched in our mind, like we have our own identity. So 12.8, God is saying, fix your mind on me alone and surrender your intellect to me. He's asking, surrender your intellect. What do we surrender? Do we surrender our mind? Do we surrender our senses? Or surrender is an activity where we take a garland, put it on God and say, hey, today I'm surrendered. How do you like it? That is not a surrender. So God said, surrender is surrender your intellect to me. However, this is an idealist state. Okay, the perfect state is God is talking about. That is what where we need to reach. So God says, if you cannot do that, then what? Then in 12.9, he says, if you cannot do that, if you're not able to fix your mind steadily on me, Arjun, then practice remembering me with devotion while constantly restraining the mind from worldly affairs. Then increase your frequency of remembering me and refrain your mind from worldly things and worldly objects, gossips, general knowledge that we acquire, right? As if we have to clear an IAS exam now, or generally thinking about people or finding faults in somebody. So he's saying, if you cannot fix your mind alone, then at least remember me with devotion and restrain your mind from kusang, okay, from worldly affairs. Okay, now he's made the criteria a little down. Then he goes on to say, okay, let's say you cannot even do that. Then what do you do? Then he says, if you cannot even practice that, remembering me with devotion, then try to work for me. Say that whatever work I'm doing it for your sake, Krishna, for your pleasure. That also will take you to perfection. Okay, so third criteria is giving you, he's relaxing the bar for you. Furthermore, he said, even if you cannot do that, okay. He says, even if you're not able to work for me in devotion, then try to renounce the fruits of your action at least and be situated in the self. Now, don't say that fruits are for my enjoyment, okay. So these are the criteria God has given us. And if we come back to the shloka, I will take it a little further and say, even if you cannot do that, then what? Then work at least, okay, for the enjoyment of the fruits. Work at least. So that is where the story ends. So it's kind of a gist of the entire science of work. Okay, we will go deeper into these shlokas. So don't think that Bhagavad Gita is over. I'm just giving you a gist of that because the shloka came up that working is important. Inaction is not an option. But this is the entire hierarchy God has given us. Okay, in chapter 12.8 and in between as well. So fix your mind on me steadily. That is the ideal state. If you can't do that, then remember me with devotion, but while restraining your mind from worldly affairs. If you can't even do that, do your work as a devotional service to me. If you can't even do that, offer the fruits to me. And if you can't even do that, keep working. That at least we are all are doing. So this is how the hierarchy goes. Yes, let's open it up. We may have some questions on this. So it's idealism, realism, the entire spectrum we have. Now we have to find out where do we stand and how do we get to the ideal state.
Please go ahead, Monica ji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe Nitinji, Radhe Radhe everyone. So Nitinji, how do we, so inaction is strongly condemned, right? I know I keep bothering you with the same question again and again, but then here I just wanted to ask, how do you define inaction? Is it limited to your household activities or your community activities or national activities or whatever? I mean, let's say, yeah, you already got my question, I think.
Inaction is basically laziness and slothness, where you wish away things. Okay. You run away from your responsibilities. You want to sleep your way to glory and wishing that situation, circumstances would run away by themselves. So basically turning your back towards your responsibilities, procrastination, and not doing the required action, right? There are a lot of people you see when they give up jobs or they are fired from their job, they sleep away to glory. They don't do anything under the pretext of I'm depressed now. Okay. So inaction is you have to pull your weight in this creation, do something. without doing anything and wishing away human life by sleeping and procrastinating and not doing anything is called inaction. Like Arjun, Lord Krishna said, you are saying that I'm going to run away from the war and become a sannyasi. That is also called, resorting to inaction, because he's not doing what is needful at that moment. So it can have a broader definition, but for our sake, I think it is more about procrastinating, being lazy, slothful, turning away from our responsibilities, and not doing what is needed at that moment. Those kind of things will construe as inaction.
Okay. So what about ISKCON disciples? ISKCON or any other, let's say, Sampradayas followers, right? Who renounce their grahast and then get into this at a very early age, and then so what is that?
No, that is not inaction. Okay. That is not
Okay.
inaction, because see, inaction would be something where you have taken spirituality as an excuse to run away from your material duties. Okay. But if you are ready for it, okay, that's what we are going to talk about. See, it's like when you are ready for the higher thing, the lower duties can be rejected. Okay, if you are truly ready for the sannyas. Krishna said, you can reject lower duties when you are ready for the higher duties, right? For example, Buddha, you think it was an inaction where he left his wife and kid in the middle of the night?
I mean, no, it was not.
Inaction.
Yeah.
So Vidur Niti says you can sacrifice a family. Okay, you can sacrifice an individual for the sake of a family, because that becomes your higher duty. You can sacrifice a family for the sake of your city, because that becomes your higher duty. You can sacrifice a city for the sake of the country, because that becomes higher duty. And you can sacrifice a country for the sake of the world, that becomes higher duty. And you can sacrifice your material duties for the sake of spiritual duties. So aparadharma can be sacrificed when you are actually subscribing to paradharma, but only when you are ready for it. Right? So we don't know. We can't judge anybody. Maybe they are ready for it. But if they have prematurely renounced it, it is called inaction. It is strongly condemned by Lord Krishna. That can only be done under the expert guidance of a guru, because they will know exactly where you are in your spiritual trajectory and whether what you are doing is born out of detachment or just running away as an escapist route from the world. Only God and Guru can judge that.
So basically, Guru knows when you're ready more than you know. Got it. Okay.
Guru knows. That's why we need a guru. Without guru, nothing will happen. We can't budge in our spiritual journey from this point to this point without a guru. It's a very simple principle. Scriptures say that. And even Bhagavad Gita 4.34, when we'll get to that, we will talk about this concept in much more detail. Maybe a week-long session, maybe more than that on that topic.
Okay. Understood.
Thank you. I have a follow-up question, Nitinji, on this topic. When we are talking about inaction, isn't it like some like getting stuck? For example, some people are grieving or stuck in past something which is going on, and then they are not moving ahead and they are stuck.
True.
Isn't it that is some type of inaction?
It is also an inaction. In fact, grieving longer than the stipulated time frame that is given to us. See, when somebody dies, there is a ritual for 3 days. Right? 3 days and 13 days thing is there. God has given us allowance for that. But if we continue to grieve and resort to inaction, thinking our grief is bigger than everything else in this world, then it is also inaction. It is strongly condemned. So it is imperative on you to get up and pick up on your duties rather than turning away from them, using your grief as an excuse. That's also not an excuse. And 3 days, 13 days given to us to grieve, not beyond that.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Nitinji. We'll take other hands. Prashanta ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Prashanta.
Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe, everyone. Thank you, Nitinji. Very, very good explanation. Very good. You explained very good the previous question, and I was stuck in that as well. So thank you, first of all. And I want to ask something like, there is, when I read Bhagavad Gita by Swami Prabhupada, I was quite confused, by niskam karma, sakarma, akarma, those kind of things. And I thought akarma as inaction in that particular thing, right? So I was confused there. So that is my one question. I have a follow-up question. First, please, clear up that doubt, please.
Sure. So akarma is not, so let me put to all the 3 karmas. Karam is good karma that we do. Vikaram is bad karma that we do. Okay? Karma takes us to celestial abodes. Vikarma takes us to hellish abodes. And akarma is karam yoga. Okay, akarma is not, vikarma is what you are saying. Akarma is karam yoga. Okay, karam yoga is where you are doing it for the pleasure of God. So akaram is good thing. If you are doing akaram, good. If you are doing vikaram, bad. If you are doing karam, better than bad, but still bad, because it is still binding.
Okay, thank you. I am clear now. Okay, I have a follow-up question here. When you said, when you are going to do the things for higher good and we are sacrificing the material thing, that quite hit me, because I remembered my first year or second year, actually. What happened was, you gave the example of Buddha. Similarly, that thing, kind of that thing happened to me. I had I had a girl with whom I used to talk, let's say, let not be a relationship, but like that somewhat. But my examinations were there, examination was on my head, and the second year examination is very tough, because, otherwise you get kicked out of the university. And for the maybe 2 months, or maybe, 2.5 months, I just cut out from this world, let's say. I didn't use any kind of social media and any kind of things. It didn't even connect it to my parents, maybe 15 minutes in 2 days or something like that. I used to do that, and I cleared up my exams. But after clearing up my exams, when I came to talk to that girl, she said, you didn't care for me, and she left me in that case. So did I sacrifice material desire for higher purpose, or did I do wrong?
You didn't care for me? Okay. No, higher, I don't know what is your higher duty. I think higher duty at that point is probably to study only. So probably she should have had a better understanding. You have to take a call. What is your higher duty, right? If you are in Brahmash, what do you call that? Varnashram dharam, Brahmacharya, of course, your higher duty is to study, right? The girl and the marriage can wait. And so in that case, I think depending upon which is a higher duty at a particular station in life, you have to take a call on that with proper knowledge around that, right? So maybe
exactly.
You should bring that girl to Bhagavad Gita session, and I will help clear that misunderstanding for you. Maybe that will
that's not possible, Nitinji. That's beyond 3-4 years, so that's
So I
not
think
possible.
everything happens for a good. Maybe that you may call it as an anartha nivritti that happened. Okay, she didn't let you do your higher duty, so I think you can move on in life now. Okay,
Yeah, I have moved on, but I'm confused. It's not that I didn't care, but well, I had to clear my exams, right? Because MBBS exams, they are tough. I had to clear 42 papers. And it was very, very dangerous. And if you don't clear it in 2 attempts, you drop off, and if you don't clear it in 4 attempts,
understand.
you are kicked out.
It became a very critical emergency situation. We can discuss more about it. Let's hear from others. They have raised their hand. They may have some question. But yeah,
Prashantaji, you can put it in feedback tracker. I have just now posted the link.
But I agree, it was very insensitive on her part. Okay, but if you bring her here, we can help sort those things out. Now let's move on to the next question.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Urviji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Actually, I had a question that what if we start using spirituality to, work better? Like, I mean, this is not wrong, but like, I have to study. So I keep giving myself reasons. This is the reason I have to study, all those things related to spirituality only. But then I start feeling very uncomfortable that I've got such a good thing, spirituality, and I'm using it to do this material thing. And then I feel very uncomfortable, but I keep sitting and I don't know what to do.
That's a good question, Urvi. So tomorrow we are going to talk about this journey, how it should unfold. Okay, so the lead-up question is, from realism, that other spectrum, all the way up to idealism, how do we do this journey, right? It seems a little overwhelming. And this is what we will tackle tomorrow. But to your point, getting better at what you're doing is a stepping stone to something higher already, right? So that is there. It pleases God because He has endowed us with a particular talent. And when we start putting it to good use to the best of our ability, it is very pleasing to God. So take the next step and then see where it takes you, and then the next step and the next step. So that's fine. We got to be patient around it, and we'll talk about this concept a little bit tomorrow, how we should actually approach it, when we have to do a journey which may sound daunting to begin with, right? Or pretty long journey as such, not necessarily for all, but yeah. But let's talk about it. We still have to go through certain things, and then the time is appropriate. Anyway, you have a guru right now. They will tell you, okay, Urvi, leave your studies now and let's get on with the seva. Okay, but until that opportunity comes, you continue doing what you're supposed to do to the best of your ability.
So it's like we have to keep holding the ladder until and unless Guru tells it to drop it.
True.
Tells us.
Very true.
Okay.
Your life is all set now, so you don't have to worry about it. Just do the next thing as best as you can. Great.
Okay, thank you, Radhe.
Radhe, Radhe.
Thank you, Urviji. Very deep question, like always, as you do. Thank you. iPhone ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe, Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. So thank you for explaining everything, Nitinji. But I have one small question. So basically, you say, yeah, I understand that we should work at least rather than sitting. But since past few days, I have realized, let's say I have worked for past 2 months continuously. And, and after that, I am feeling like little overwhelmed, overstressed with my situation. And at that time, I feel like, how should we set our bar? Like, okay, even if we are working, even if we are liking the work or not liking, that's a separate part. But even if we work, like how far we should work, where we set the boundaries, that beyond that, we should, take 2 steps back and just stop there, whatever is the fact. Because it feels like it affects, it drains you emotionally, physically, like everywhere. So how should we set the bar that this is the limit? Even if we work, this should be the limit. Beyond that, no, nothing. Like how we can define that?
Yeah, it's a good question for Swamiji. You can ask him, but I'll tell you a little bit that I understand. So, see, he's in his latest book also is talking about balancing the different balls that we do, right? Work is an essential part of that as well. Because if work is not under control, then things can become a little stressful. What causes you stress? Is it that your work is not under control, or you feel ambitious, or your work itself is too much for you? What
I
gives you
think
stress?
all 3 of them. I feel like
okay.
too ambitious, but still I'm running behind something because I have a timeline or deadline to finish it. I have a future to move on as well. So I feel like
I think that's where we need to continue to challenge ourselves, because work is only a part of our life, right? It's not our entire life. So it's important to be able to do things which we want to do, like for our spiritual growth. So we need to get better at our work, or define some lines around our work so that we have time for our health and our spirituality as well. Because if those things keep on getting neglected, we are not going to score any points at the end of our life, right? Just because we help increase the wealth of stakeholders or shareholders by working hard. And work is like that rubber ball. Even if you drop, it will come back. But if you drop the other ball, your health, it is like a glass ball. It's very difficult to recover. And spirituality, anyway, the time is ticking by. So you have to define that line. I'm going to tell you something revolutionary. I don't know, it'll take a lot of leap of faith to do that. But if you start making spirituality something related to God, maybe seva, as the focal point of your life, your work and everything will start aligning. But for as long as your work is your priority at the center of your life, it will make you dance for the rest of your life. Trust me. So think about that and then challenge yourself to, see how better, efficiently, effectively you can do that. Maybe pick up some seva along the way and see how you're able to balance it. It is counterintuitive. You'll say, okay, I already have work. You're asking me to take more work. But when you start adding the other work, this work starts getting aligned. Somehow this is how it works. But ask Swamiji, I think he'll have better suggestions for you. What I would suggest is you'll have to balance it out for yourself, and you are the only one who can do it, right? Nobody else would care for you in that sense, because your health and spirituality are of paramount importance. Work is just a minuscule part of your life.
Thank you, Nitinji. Very well explained. I was also thinking in the same way, taking care of body, mind, and soul should be the first priority. Right?
I was saying, right, people, they work very hard, and I've seen so many examples, they work hard, and then all of a sudden doctor says, if you don't go slow, say goodbye to yourself in next 3 years. And all of a sudden the work has vanished. They have all the time in the world. just about prioritizing sometimes. Sometimes we are putting undue pressure on ourselves, thinking the world will come to an end if we stop working, but that may not be the case. You may say, I have defined hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, beyond that I'll not work, or find something like that, or challenge yourself where can you finish things quickly, smartly, fastly, or say I'll do this much only. Something of that sort will work out when you seriously start exploring options around it.
Thank you, Nitinji. Prakashji, Radhe Radhe, thank you for waiting. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Prakashji.
Problem. Thank you, Pallaviji. So Nitin, just want to add on, or maybe a question or perspective on what Monica ji is asking, right? So about ISKCON people joining, taking the kind of karma sannyas. So although it's higher purpose, to me, what I think is it depends on the state what you are in, right? So if your family needs you, you cannot ditch them and leave them in waters and then go, right? So that means you are actually you are kind of running away from your responsibility. So I think if you go with that mutual understanding and it's not impacting your worldly responsibilities, I think that's good intentions. It's good to go in that way, right? But I think that's the balancing act that you will have to do. Is that correct?
True. You have to have a best of intentions that is there. But at the same time, see, between Karam Yoga and Karam Sannyas, very clearly, Swamiji has written in his commentary, Karam Sannyas you can reject your material duties only under the expert guidance of a guru if he says you are ready. Otherwise, if you do it prematurely or you do it based on your understanding, it could be a disaster. You will be neither here nor there. So Karam Sannyas is not a straightforward thing. You have to do it with the guidance of a guru only, because if you prematurely reject it, it's like somebody has placed, somebody who has not even gone through the high school directly in doctorate class. Nothing will make sense. And then in the going will get tough there. They will take a U-turn from there as well. So Karam Sannyas has to be done under the expert guidance of a guru. Not everybody has the eligibility for it. Now, if people have it, we are no one to judge that, okay? But if they're doing it for the sake of turning their backs, it is bad. No, Swamiji told me, okay, he used to head Bombay ISKCON, by the way, okay, before he met Maharajji. And he said, every year he would see there will be 20 people who would come shave their heads and take sannyas. And every year out of those 20, 18 and 19 will return back. So he said something was not, he could not, understand what was going on until he met Maharajji and understand it deeper things about it, right? Falgu Viragya and all that stuff. He said, every year I used to wonder what's going on here. 20 people will come, 18 and 19 will turn back. So that means that was premature sannyas. People were taking, they were not quite ready for it. That can happen too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prakashji. Urviji, please go ahead.
Yes, Survi.
Radhe Radhe.
Hope you're enjoying the devotional nectar of the retreat.
Yes. So actually, I wanted to ask. Okay, we are like going to discuss my question tomorrow as well. But just one more thing, like we have to keep working, like giving ourselves spiritual reasons to work to develop Yukta Vairagya. Is it correct?
Yukta Vairagya, yes, not the Falgu Vairagya. Very true. Yeah.
So I just wanted to confirm this. Okay.
Yeah, Yukta Vairagya says that there is neither happiness nor misery in this world. Falgu Vairagya is you are running away from the world because you think, oh, there's a lot of misery, I will do Radhe Radhe and just do satsang and all that stuff. That is Falgu Vairagya, because you are running away from thinking the world has miseries. So the actual Vairagya is when you are situated in this understanding that there is neither misery nor happiness in this world. That is called Yukta Vairagya. Very nice term, technical term you brought up, Urvi, like always. Wonderful.
Thank you,
Tomorrow we will have much deeper discussion around how do we approach this whole thing, okay? Yes, Sandhya, and then we can make announcements after this.
Radhe Radhe. Sandhya ji, please go ahead.
Not a question, just wanted to express this, that, like even today's discussion just makes me feel that how fortunate we are that through Maharajji, we have been receiving this knowledge in such a crystal clear manner. It is like this, nothing else, right? I mean, and these are like real life changing, life saving experiences that can get benefited through this. So yeah, just wanted to thank you also for this, for delivering this so nicely to us. And like, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Thanks.
It's all Maharajji Swamiji's grace. It's not life-saving. It is lifetime saving. And there is no bigger message on this planet. Okay, I can say that with assurance and confidence, on this entire Brahmand than the knowledge that we are getting access to. That is how fortunate we are. You go anywhere, never ever your doubts will get cleared, no matter what you are trying and experimenting. Okay, it may seem appealing to your intellect, but beyond that, nobody can answer your questions like the way Maharaj and Swamiji explained. And the philosophy just, it's just perfect. Maharaj used to say, when he used to deliver lectures, Brahaspati and Saraswati would come and sit there. He said, you guys don't understand, even they come and sit and hear his lectures. Okay, so that is the level of knowledge we are getting access to. So just imagine how fortunate we all are. Each one of us is, in that sense, extremely fortunate.
No
we
doubt.
are jackpot, I'm telling you.
Yes. Very well said, Sandhya-ji. Thank you, Nitin-ji.
And after these concepts, you will understand you don't have to second guess yourself in anything. No way. No matter which philosophy is thrown at you, you are sorted out. That is the power of this knowledge. So that is how amazing it is. So great. Do we have any announcements or any questions? Yes, quite a few. So let's take hands.
Yeah, if I can take a quick moment for a couple of announcements.
Sure, and then we will take the three hands, Champaji, Prabhatji, and Rahul.
Yes. So first announcement is about the Holy Bhakti Yoga Sadhana Sivir, which is going on currently, 22nd to 26th February. Swamiji will be narrating the epic stories of spiritual India through his discourses on Bhakt Charit. So please take advantage of this Sadhana Sivir and please register. I have shared the link over here in the chat window. And the second announcement is about the Grand Holy Celebrations, which is going to be in Dallas. Hari Anand is the popular Bollywood artist, Hari Anand, and Aditi Singh Sharma, Dhoom Machale fame. They are performing live in plenty of exciting activities for all ages. It's in Dallas, Texas. So please get more details about this link. Yeah, it's on Saturday, March 11th.
Great.
11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
By the way, Hari Anand is the remix king of the Kanta Laga fame. Okay, so life has come a full circle for him. Now, soon, I think his name will become from Hari Anand to Hari Anand. Okay. So, great. Thank you so much. Palviji, anything else you wanted to announce?
Quickly, I just wanted to remind that feedback tracker link is also posted here. Please share your questions, feedback, comments in the feedback tracker list.
I've forgotten that thing. It is like Krishna Krishna sab rate, thag thakur or chor, prem bina reejhe nahi, Krishna Nanda Kishore. So basically, love is what is needed. Just by reciting the name, nothing is going to happen. Right? So that's why when we do chantings and stuff, the remembrance and the love is the key, the secret sauce around it. All right, let's take the remaining hands.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for waiting. Can I please take Champaji first? Yeah.
Yes, Radhe Radhe Champaji.
Radhe Radhe Champaji, please go
ahead. Radhe Radhe. I just want to first say that I saw the dance performance and I loved it. And our little Sandhya is so good. She's good in everything. I really love her a lot. It was really nice watching those videos in Facebook. And the next one, coming to the topic, I fully agree with Sandhya-ji and Nitin-ji that we are the luckiest. See, at my age, I will be definitely, and most people in my age will be in this part. But the regular Swamijis, like our own mutts and all that, what they say sometimes, with no offense to them, will not relate to the present day, you know. it becomes very difficult to follow those who are living with children, grandchildren, and all that. And with Swamiji, following Swamiji is so easy. He's so practical. When he says things, you can easily practice it. That is the beauty of it. You have the satisfaction, okay, my guru is sanctioning this. See, for example, Ekachi Vrat and all that, I don't want to say what he says, all of you would have listened. After listening to him, you don't have the guilt. Maybe I'm not doing it properly. And even forgiveness, today's lesson in the morning in JKO class, he says, forgiveness is all right, but be practical. That is the thing which he is the present day Swamiji, And for people who live in the family, it is very easy to follow. And the third thing is, he himself is such an example, like, he is working 24 hours, I think 24 hours to us. He must be, I don't know, multiplied by so many, he must be working.
25 hours a day, 25 hours
yeah,
a day.
Yeah, or more than that. And we just cannot say, I have no time. I'm tired. I cannot do. And the kind of knowledge, I don't know, from he'll quote the Western philosophers, he will quote the examples of all over the world. He talks about Christianity, Islam. He's well versed in all this Kabir and all that, and even the South Acharyas he knows. Really, we are really, really blessed. If we are not making use of this opportunity, we are really fools. I'm grateful to you also, Nitinji. You are contributing a lot in my spiritual growth. Radhe Radhe. And I love all the youngsters in this group. They are so energetic and so lovely. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Champaji, thank you for your words of encouragement, like you always do. Yeah, we are very fortunate, and it's always a pleasure to hear from you. And I'm glad, we have so many youngsters who show up regularly on this session and gotten hooked to it, and it's a wonderful group that we have. And yeah, Sandhya, she's becoming a great dancer. I think she did her postdoctorate doctorate to come and dance away to glory here at RKT. So that was a big plan, I guess, from God. But yeah, we have festivals throughout the year. Something else is going on. If she's not dancing, she's helping us sell pani puris. Okay, if that is also not the case, then she's helping us do some cleanup at the temple. So there's some activity going on throughout the year. Great. Let's hear from Sandhya's. Okay, now. Okay, Prabhatji, please go ahead.
Prabhatji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Prabhat.
Radhe Radhe. So basically, I want to know about Viragya. Like you have already mentioned that if someone is finding misery in the world, then there is one kind of Viragya. And if someone is not finding, someone is neither finding misery or happiness, then there is a Viragya. But if someone is finding happiness in the world, it's like a drop of happiness in the world, but he knows that there is ocean of happiness. So that person is finding happiness in the world. So is there any Viragya for that particular person?
I don't know. It's an interesting question. Swamiji says that they need to be neutral. They need to beat that knowledge basically with a higher knowledge that this happiness is not the real happiness, because that happiness has to go through the litmus test of 3 criteria. It should be permanent, it should be basically everlasting, it should be infinite, and it should keep on increasing with time. So that happiness material world cannot give you. So then you simply look at it in perspective and reject it, that this is not really happiness. It's a play of my mind and gunas, which is giving me a sense that it is happiness, although it is not. It's just like a mirage. And you become neutral to that as well, because that's what our scriptures tell us as well. It is a passing thing. It is not going to remain, and it is not ever increasing. It will become stale with time, and it is finite in extent. So when these 3 tests are qualified by some happiness, then it is a real happiness. Otherwise, it's just an illusion that is being created, temporary illusion. I hope I answered your part of it. Yeah, so we do get a little bit of thrill in life, but then we beat it with start becoming neutral to it, that okay, this will pass, this is not permanent, and this is not something, the happiness of a soul that I'm looking for, which is going to persist with me. But yeah, good question. Thank you, Prabhat. All right, are we done then? Good to move to our devotional segment.
Nitinji, I don't see any more hand raised, though
Okay.
Rahulji has shared that Swamiji's live discourse on Jagat Guru Ramanujacharya's life and teaching has already started at 10
So
p.m.
then let's break off, because I'm
CST.
sure a lot of you will be attending that session as well. So I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. We'll have a hard stop at 10 from, for as long as the retreat goes.
And we have shared the link also in YouTube link in chat. If you want to join, please go.
And please do fill out the feedback tracker as well. So Radhe Radhe, good day, have a good evening. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, everyone. Stay blessed. See you tomorrow. Radhe.